So when I say morning routine, what comes to mind?
I would say that I have a aversion to the language morning routine because a lot of morning routines in the wellness space have been turned into sort of like a Stefan skit, where it's like it's got to have everything. It's got like the green powder I drink, I got to meditate, I got to do this yoga move, and it's just like this assortment of stuff. But I realize that like what you start your day with is also important. So for me, everything I do in the morning, it's ultimately going to feed back into my ultimate goal. Write words that change people's behavior for the better. My name is Michael Easter. I am an author. I think about human health, wellness, and what it means to live well today. Definitely most fresh as early as possible. Usually I will get some caffeine in my body pretty quickly. I will say hello to my dog. I've lived in Las Vegas for about 8 years now. I like to describe it as the ultimate human behavior laboratory. You just watch the best and worst of people unfold, all our vices. But the reality is that Vegas is one of the best outdoor towns in the country. Like there's some of the world's best climbing within 30 minutes of the Strip. There's just miles and miles of amazing trail running, mountain biking trails. Really amazing outdoor town. I started drinking tea simply because I was drinking way too much caffeine. And I also found that tea was a little better on my stomach. This one's called New England breakfast, so it's black tea with maple flavors. I do weigh these out just so I kind of get the ratios right. I've written about on my Substack is the amount of microplastics we take in is crazy. And they're associated with all these different bad health outcomes. So I started going with a French press, not only for tea, but also for coffee. Because your standard coffee maker, it's pushing hot water over plastic, through plastic, and it's just getting a lot of plastic in the water. Nice and hot, as hot as it'll get, 212. Give me the green light. There we go. That's it. That's when you know it's good. I pour that just from on high because I just want it to really disturb those tea leaves. Satisfying plunge. Look at that. Copper colored golden goodness with hints of maple. It's gonna be hot. You're gonna get the burning of my mouth. Yeah, delaying caffeine intake, I mean, maybe there's some there. Would I be able to tell a damn difference though? No. Like, at a certain point, how many like levers of optimization are you gonna pull? And eventually your day starts to get so complicated and filled with so much stuff and thought that for me, it just drains my ability to spend my thinking on things I actually care about. Whereas like, I'm just gonna wake up and drink my caffeine. Make tea, come in here, and then just get behind the keyboard and do as much writing as I can. It's quiet in the house, just this protected time where I focus on this one big goal of writing a book or cranking out a newsletter on Substack or whatever it might be. And I don't think there's anything magic about like the morning in terms of writing. There's some writers who they write through the night. But I think the point is like you need a certain period of time that's repeatable, that's at the same time in order to have that be your sort of golden hour when you focus. I get distracted when I have a bunch of shit on my desk. This is pretty light and stuff for me, but sometimes I'll have just like piles of books, piles of studies, and there's just too much. So I try and, when it gets a little too heavy on stuff, I try and just remove it. And so that's why I got like these piles right here, which were piled on my desk, but I'm like, I just need to get them out of my field of vision, because it sort of just focuses what I'm looking at, which is the blinking cursor just staring at you in the face. Exciting. So after I finished writing, I think it's good to pair something that's psychological with something that's physical. It's like you can only do something that's really thought heavy for so long. And then if you follow that up with something physical, it kind of allows your brain time to just go where it needs to go. So that's what I use the morning walks for, is to just like kind of let the thoughts that I've been thinking as I write settle, figure out what was working and what wasn't, kind of let just creative ideas come up. And I usually get some of my best ideas out on walks for sure. I do think there's something about being in nature, especially that's wild, that allows your brain to go to interesting places, allows you to decompress. Like there's tons of research around how time in nature is really good for mental health and for creative thinking, coming up with ideas, and in general, the wilder nature, the better. And so I'm definitely lucky that I can come, walk 3 minutes and be out in this like massive protected desert area. Yeah, I take advantage of it for sure. There's actually a lot of research that shows that people who have dogs, they take significantly more steps a day than people who don't. Yeah, the PSA is get yourself a dog. If you get yourself an insane hunting dog like I have, you'll get even more exercise because he needs a lot. If I can start breakfast knowing that it's healthy, I'm just like, all right, great. We got one win in for the day. Oh, it looks delicious. So I start with oatmeal, and it has this particular type of fiber. It's associated with all sorts of good health outcomes. I throw some blueberries in there because blueberries are also amazing for health. It's not the most appetizing looking food, but it is good. And sometimes I'll put a little bit of maple syrup on this. We're getting into some strange territory, but it's what I like. Good. I will take this precious time with my oatmeal to play Wordle for the day. You can get that in. There was some analysis, I don't know who did it, so it could be BS, that found that people who use the word slate as their #1 word tend to solve faster than any other word. So I use slate.
You're even optimizing Wordle.
Yeah. Well, once I read that, I stumbled upon that and I was like, what are you gonna do, not use slate from then on? You're fucking using slate from then on. So just ate breakfast. Now after this, usually, or at some point in the day, I'll do a mobility routine. I do 5 exercises. A lot of us work at desks all day. We're slumped over, things get tight, things get out of whack. Humans are not designed to sit at desks all day. So doing something like this that just takes 5 minutes, it can offset a lot of the bad things that happen sitting at a desk in just 5 minutes. Totally worth it. So I've come upon these 5 from a lot of trial and error, sort of figuring out what on me will be a little bit achy after I go for a run or whatever it might be. Because of the nature of my work, I talk to a lot of smart people in the space of science, health, fitness. And so most of them have come from different thinkers in the space who I'll say, oh, my knee hurts. And they're like, hey, well, could you try this? And so I'll try it. I'm like, oh, that seems to be helping. And so I've just landed on what works. I like to read poetry because it sort of forces my brain to think about different ways to use words and language that's more creative and I guess more enlivening. Because a lot of times the numbers and the data and the figures, yes, we need that stuff to sort of understand things, but to really sort of translate it and make it stick with the person, you gotta give that message creatively. And so reading poetry just kind of gets my brain to think in ways of how do you do that better. My favorite poet is Mary Oliver because she spent a lot of time outside. I love the outdoors, spent a lot of time outdoors. And I think that she just is absolutely able to capture the essence of nature and what it's like to spend time outside. This one is Devotions, and it's sort of just like a selection of probably her sort of quote unquote best poems. This is one I'd recommend anyone buy. Pick up, just read from wherever, it's fantastic. Here's a great one. And I actually quoted this poem in my book, Scarcity Brain, when I was going over the chapter on possessions. So this one's called I Own a House. I own a house, small but comfortable. In it is a bed, a desk, a kitchen, a closet, a telephone, and so forth. You know how it is. Things collect. Outside, the summer clouds are drifting by, all of them with vague and beautiful faces. And there are the pines that bush out spicy and ambitious, although they do not even know their names. And there is the mockingbird. Over and over he rises from his thorn tree and dances. He actually dances in the air. And there are days I wish I owned nothing, like the grass. It's great. It's great. In my 2% newsletter, I have a column called Gear, Not Stuff. I think we live in a world where it's easy to accumulate stuff. So if you frame your purchases in terms of gear, which is I'm selecting stuff that has a clear purpose of helping me achieve a higher purpose, like I'm gonna use this in the world to do something that enhances my life, I think that's a good way to frame how to make purchases and how to use things in a way that helps you. So that's why I like this poem, because I think it kind of gets to that. The thing that I look forward to the most in the morning is I've been sitting at the keyboard for like an hour and it sucks and this is terrible. And why did I choose to be a writer? This is like the worst job someone could ever choose. And then you get the moment where like the perfect sentence comes out. And it's just like, bam, that is why I do this thing. And it's like that is just enough to keep going. I want regularity at home because I know I need to be in that chair writing if I'm ever gonna write a book. Like writing a book is a lot. You gotta write a lot of words. So if someone is trying to figure out what is a good morning routine, you need to start with what is the purpose of the morning routine? What larger goal am I trying to accomplish with this morning routine? And then from there, work back and go, okay, does inserting this thing, is it helping me get to my larger goal? And so if the answer is yes, great, keep it in. If it's helping you be a better writer or a better father or a better accountant, great. So everything I do in the morning, it just is allowing me to get in my writing chair and do my job better there.